I've been quite naive, or not naive. I recorded an entire video explaining this process of how I am creating this little archways in the wall here, and I didn't realize that my microphone was not working, or that it was muted, so that video is worth nothing. So I did do the rest of these, but in that video, or I did two more of them in that video, but I decided to just Control Z all of it for the sake of demonstrating to you, Miss Adams, or VCar, whoever wants to watch this video, how I'm doing it. Because I think it's pretty nifty. I think it's some advanced brushwork, which is something that I have typically shied away from, because it involves making a lot of different cuts, aligning things, making sure that a lot of things line up. It is something that I would not have been able to approach, maybe not like I wouldn't have even thought of trying to do it like a month ago. But because I mean, look at this, it's a mess. Look at this bottom view. This thing is a mess. It's difficult to see. So how am I doing it then? Because I've done a few clearly. Well, what I began with, before I had even done any of these, I cut the wall up into regular intervals. So this one here, for instance, is 64 units. 64 units. This is 96 units. 64 units, 96. 64, 96. So that's 2 to 3. That's a 2-3 ratio. And I did that along this entire wall. So this is 64, 96. And so then this gap for the archway is 96 units, and the little sort of pillar in between is 64. So that means that when I'm doing all these cuts and I'm making them, it's all regular. So what I do after that, after I've cut them up, I begin by making this bottom little step here. You can see that's along all of them, so they're all even. I make that first cut, then I select the top, and I make a sort of little archway. Now all of these are different, just trying to contribute to that sort of natural visual language, trying to sell the idea that this cave is actually a natural living organism. Obviously, that's quite a paltry example of how I might go about that. It's quite sort of minimal. If this was perhaps a more refined, if this was my final artwork, or perhaps even later on in the refinement stage of this little response, I would sort of subdivide things a little bit more, make them more irregular. Like for instance, this entire surface is flat, or it's all the same texture. Something that I would like is to have a variety of different flesh textures for different sort of things. So, I mean, you know how like an intestine, I don't know how you pronounce it, it's made of different sort of flesh as like whatever part of the body this was from, you know. I don't want it all to be just the same, because otherwise it becomes very repetitive, I need some more variety in there, okay? So yes, I begin by making this archway. Let's get back to the matter. So, in fact, something that I tried to do with the last one was that I would make the first cut, and then I would do the second cut within it. Usually what I would do, if you're looking at this view here, I would just make like the cut like that. And so if you look at here, that's what it would look like. But what I tried with the last one, which worked quite well, was if I cut through it. And so that way, you've sort of got this little spot up the top, which isn't necessarily touching the ceiling as all the other ones are. So I think that's kind of a neat, that sort of sells, I feel like that sells a little bit more of the idea of it being natural, because you've not just got this flat ceiling that connects to it. So there we go. And then I'll select this middle one here, and I will delete it. I'll delete it. And then I'll also merge these two things, because they don't need to be separated, and it's more efficient for the engine if they're, like, generally speaking, less individual brushes, the better for the engine. So I'll delete that. And then I've got this problem of this wall here. How do I poke through it? How do I get through it? Well, the answer is quite simple. I look for the little archway that I've just made here, which is selected in red, and then I go to this little wall here, and I just cut vertically along where it is. So then we've got this little part here, and then I cut horizontally along the bottom, and then I will also cut out the archway that I have done, and then boom, and then just Control Shift M, and now there is a gap through which my archway can extrude. Or I can extrude all of these faces here, these ones, to come out. Now what I will do, I won't, because you see it doesn't just align, because this is on a slant, it's angled. What I will have to do is I will actually, in the first instance, I will pull it all the way out so that it comes a fair bit, just so that there's nothing hanging behind. And then the idea is that I will cut this little bit off and I will leave just the back part. And what I will also do is I'll make sure that it's cut along, can I get it? This vertical line here. And the reason for that is what you just saw there. That's called Z-fighting, which is when there are two textures on the same surface. They compete to be rendered. Yep. I'm just recording something for I'll be 5 minutes. Thanks. So yeah, I have to cut along this back one here, so that way there's no overlap. So what I will do is I'll select everything that I need, because it's quite difficult to see what's going on through the 2D views at the moment because there's so much. So I'll select everything there is that I will need to be able to see, and I will hit Control H, and that will hide everything that isn't what I just selected. Then I will select the archway, which that should just be it. And then I'll come to this front 2D view here, because this gives me an angle of this, basically the side. If you look in the 3D view, I get that angle. So I will then Control X, cut it 2 units out, so that should be 32 units, I believe. So there, and then I make sure that this part in red is what's being deleted, and the back is what's being kept. And I hit enter, and if all went to plan, there is a nice little archway. And so if we unhide everything, there you've got it. Now I'll do one more, because there is something that I have just skipped. There is a step that I skipped because it was already done, just because that's just how it came out. So I will quickly do all of the steps that I mentioned at the beginning, and I'll make a nice little archway there, and I will select that and I'll delete it. And there is this thing in the way. What is this? Why is it here? It is the wall on the interior of the cave. A lot of these walls, if I select them, you can see they actually go a fair way back, and that is because basically when I was making this room, I was not really being conscious of the fact that I may want to sort of build on the walls behind it, or I might want to build in the walls behind it, and so that's resulted in quite a mess to work with. So in the future, what I can do to minimize the risk of this happening is I can work in regular units. And so what I mean by that is if I just hide this and we look at, for instance, these walls here, these are done in regular interval units, because all of the walls are the same width. They haven't been brought out quite a lot. But if you look, like, this is comparatively clean. It would be very easy for me to build more stuff back here. In fact, it would be very easy for me to simply use the other side of this wall, which is what I have done here. This wall is just the other side of this wall. However, I have actually brought them out it is the one block. So this side and this side. Over here, I have not done that, and it has caused quite the kerfuffle when it comes to building in the wall behind. So if I want to get rid of this, I have to cut it along this front axis here, and so that would involve basically cutting everything behind, like there, where my mouse is right now, cutting everything behind there. So what I'll do, I'll just Control hide again, and I will select 2 units back, or 32 units, and 32 units. I will cut the back wall, and if we unhide things, I will make this delete from this angle, and nothing has changed. Nothing has changed from this angle. You cannot tell that there is anything different. It's the same old cave, but if we come through here, voila, there is nothing in my way. And in fact, I'll have to do it to this one as well, because if I extrude this, we get Z fighting, because they're both competing. So I will do the same thing. I will hide. I will cut 32 units back, enter, unhide, and now there is a cavity for me to work within. But generally that's been quite a... I mean, it was something that I was able to get over it. I was able to fix it, but it was a challenge. So then, I think... Is that right on? I think that's right on. And then I'll cut along the floor, and then I will cut that and that, and I will delete you and you, and merge you with you. I will drag you out all the way. Oh, that's quite a long way, but it doesn't matter. And select everything that I need to make the cut, to be able to see. Actually, I don't need the ceiling. That should be it. Then anything that's sticking out I can select. Control X, delete you to you. Make sure I'm keeping the back half and getting rid of the front half. Just double check, that seems right. Enter. And there we go, another one. So now if we come out and we unhide everything, there is yet another. Now I do want to just, because I didn't do it in the last video that I failed to make, do this. I'm going to make these lights a lot brighter. This fourth value in the lights is the brightness. The other ones are the RGB color. That should be enough. I'm going to save that and F9, and I'm going to do this. That is a... What is that? That was an error. There was an error. I hope that does not cause a problem. It has not. Alright, so this is it. This is the map. Not much has changed since the last annotations, hopefully. And there it is. Now, something that I thought when I saw this for the first time in the map was that it would be cool to have like liquid coming out of them, but that would be unreasonable because then I would have to have liquid going all the way up along there. What could be good is just having like sort of drains beneath them, and that would mean that I don't have to like do all of this cavity like behind it as well. It would literally just have to be a little drain on the front. So that looks cool from up there. From down here, sorry, but what does it look like from up there? Well, we'll go climb up the water slide. And it looks good. I'm faking my reaction because I did see this the last time that I made this video, and it was much the same. I don't want to come down there because that's just empty space. Actually, is there a thing that I can... No, there's not. Underscore. Fulbright 1. Nope, that didn't do it. Never mind. I figured that would have made everything bright, but it didn't. So I can jump down here, or I can go for the water slide. Boom. Flings you out at super speed. Alright. So yeah, like I said, I feel like the drains could be a cool little addition to this, but the idea is essentially that you'll be able to... It's the same as what I mentioned in my folio. It's part of my visual language, being able to just walk whichever... Oh! That is a leak. There is a leak in my map. I will fix that. Part of my visual language, just being able to take any path yet still find the same destination. So, you know, if I've got this little... I wanted to have like a little stream, a little waterfall sort of thing coming down, but then I thought, well, if you're able to get up there, you still need to be able to reach the same destination. So there should be... I will add another path up here, but basically you can walk up here, you'll get to the same destination. I think that is all I have to say. Thank you, Miss Adams, for watching this.